So, welcome to Survivor NSFW and our special coverage of Labor of Love. I'm here as always with Matt Bischoff. We also have a special guest tonight talking about episode 3. Last week, we talked extensively about how much we loved the bear, and we wanted to know who was in the Bearsuit. Well, we found him, and we've got him, and we're joined tonight by Parker Aylesworth.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hell yes. Oh, my God. For one thing, I think, Zach, last week I was saying, like, this dude in the Bearsuit fucking rules.
Yeah.
Like, it was hilarious. And the fact that you, like, messaged me saying, we got the dude in the Bearsuit coming on, I was just, I couldn't be more stoked, man. So, Parker, I messaged my good friend Marcus Lehman, who's one of the bachelor kind of dudes on the show. And I told him the Bearsuit guy, and he's like, "Oh, tell Parker I said what's up." So you got a big thumbs up. So Parker, so we do the Survivor NSFW podcast. Typically, it's this guy Johnny Fairplay and myself. Johnny Fairplay, legendary Survivor OG villain, and then we also do other shows. And Zach has a new show he's doing. Typically, when Johnny tries to get me to cover shows like, you know, The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, I'm like, oh, it's like pulling teeth. I'm like, dude, I do not want to fucking watch these shows. But when Marcus Lehman, you know, puts out on his social media, he's on this Labor of Love show, I mean, it was a no-brainer. We're going to podcast about it because he's our fellow Survivor brother. And I just want to see what happens. So far, to be honest, I hate to admit this. You know, I got this long dreadlock beard, man, and I have this hardcore persona. But to admit that I like a fucking dating show like this is kind of embarrassing. But I do. I dig it. My wife and I watch it, and then we podcast about it, and it's been so much fun. And I feel kind of bad. I mean, Zach, you know, last week we were Booge, whoever the fuck his name was. I gave that guy such a hard time. And Zach's like, we might have, I don't even know what we call him Booge. But that guy on the show, and I told my wife, I was like, yeah, Zach's trying to get that dude on the show. And she's like, Matt, like, you're kind of like a dick.
Well,
and
he said no, so don't worry about it.
Okay, he said no. But sometimes, man, when we're breaking down a show, we're only seeing what, you know, as a viewer, certain parts of what goes down. Like Survivor, every episode is a 3-day period of time. So you obviously were not only in the Bearsuit, you worked on the production of this show. So I want to kind of give a little deep dive. Like, what does it take? I was on a show called Miami Inc. Years back on TLC Network. So I kind of saw that production, and then obviously being on Survivor and being in the reality TV community, there's a lot of different shows. But how did this whole Labor of Love show come about, and what is your involvement within the show?
So I was, first off, I mean, thank you again for having me, and you know, a little bit of a plug. I feel kind of honored right now to sort of talk about it, but I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've been a producer and a camera operator on multiple different networks and shows. This was another one of those things where, you know, a friend of a friend calls somebody, hey, you're in Atlanta. We heard you're available. Would you be willing to work on a new dating show? And so I said, yeah. Actually, I think they were trying to hire my girlfriend at first, but she wasn't available. So she passed it off to me. And so I took it, and it seemed like either a bachelor or bachelorette kind of concept or something like that. But it was a powerful news show in the sense that we're empowering our heroine, Christy, to make her journey to motherhood. You know, it's a serious thing. Like, I mean, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm talking with my partner about having kids, but there's a lot of people that haven't had kids yet, and they want to take that leap, but it's harder for some people than others. So it was cool to be a part of that journey and work with a really great team of producers to sort of make that a reality. And, you know, we have a bunch of silly, quirky challenges and things like that sort of go with the whole becoming a parent. And one of the things, as far as like the bear scare, as we called it at the time, was like a fight or flight kind of thing. Are you going to protect the woman you love in this scenario?
Had you ever dressed up as a bear and like did like a rehearsal, or was this like a first time? Because I sing in a band called Moonbow, and we have a record called War Bear, right? And we filmed a music video about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we one of our friends rented this bear suit and came and made a special guest appearance. He's playing like a, you know, in our video, he's playing like a flying V guitar in this bear suit as part of the scene. So the bear whole thing, it holds a deep place in my heart. So when I saw, obviously you were the guy in the bear suit.
Yeah.
So how it had to be comical. First of all, when you were like sitting down, putting your hands by the fire and doing these human-like gestures was fucking hilarious. Like, yes, we're dealing with a serious show, like you said. And I noticed that, especially tonight, Christy is not messing around, right? She is, you know, she let 3 guys go tonight. She wants to find out who will be a great father and a great husband. And she's like not going to play around with people that she might not have a connection with. So there is a very serious factor to the show. However, on the flip side, there's a lot of funny stuff that I think makes the show lighthearted. And one of the things was the bear thing. So in your opinion, I mean, when you're out there, were these guys truly scared, thinking that it was a real bear for a brief moment? Like, kind of like go back to that scenario and let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'll just right out say it was 100% success rate. I know that a lot of things were cut together for time and stuff. We were out there for a long time. You guys know in reality TV, like there's long days. We cut it down to like a certain, you know, point of time. But I was in that suit for probably about 8 hours, I think. And just like in the beginning of the episode, when the guys come out and they're like, you know, dressed to the nines and it's cold. When we were shooting at night, when it was fully dark, it came down to like 29 degrees.
So we were talking about that last week. I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't.
No, you're good.
So Johnny Fairplay, because we were saying like, how would people be wearing these, just the outfits,
Carhartt jackets and stuff on top
Yeah,
of
you
suits.
had the car. So did you guys know it was going to be cold and had that stuff prepared for coldness, or was this like, holy shit, it's freezing, you got to send somebody to freaking, you know, Kohl's and get some warm shit? You know what I mean?
We knew it was going to be cold. We didn't know like how bad it could be. I mean, we were right off the shore of a lake.
Yeah.
So as the night gets longer, you know, we're getting some winds coming in from the lake and stuff. So it's going to be colder. So we knew ahead of time it was going to be cold, and we had to prepare everything needed. The challenge team did a great job of setting things up where it was going to be located. And that means getting all the supplies necessary, because we're not going to leave the guys out there to freeze to death, you know? And
right. Yeah.
But it was definitely a social experiment. We're going to take them out of their, you know, fish tank and put them like in the wilderness, so to speak.
Now, what did you think about Budge kind of like almost tapping out? Like, I played Survivor, and I'm looking at this like, man, last week when Marcus, for example, had a chance to be camping or glamping, I'm like, shit, he's got this on lockdown. He played Survivor for many, many days. And then you have a guy like Budge that was just like, nah, I'm just not into camping, man. And I just felt like that guy wasn't a team player, you know? So like, is he kind of what is Budge what you see is what you get type guy from your dealings, you know?
I can't say too much to that, just because there's so many different producers and teams of producers. There's story teams that you know, really dive into each of those guys.
That's cool.
I did a lot of like the segments that take place at the house. So later on, the things that you see at the house, activities they're doing, I was behind a lot of that.
So when they're working out and stuff on tonight's episode, like, are you there during that whole deal? And when they're discussing, like, when, let's say someone comes back from a date and we saw kind of a heated discussion, Matt was wanting to know, you know, what happened with Jason, and because Jason was like, you know, playing quarters and he was talking about this kiss, and then Keith was getting pissed because Matt kept interrupting and asking him those things. So were you kind of in the middle of all that?
No, I mean, for a lot of those things, that's like what we call the verite. A lot of that stuff happens naturally. Sometimes things will be sort of, you know, pushed in a certain area, but most of the time they have free reign.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the control room for most of that kind of stuff. If there's a
Gotcha.
segment where that involves Kristen or Christy, that is like all the guys coming together to do some sort of activity,
Mm-hmm.
and anything involving the big monitor inside both houses, I was behind a lot of that. So I would sort of pull the strings there.
So the bear, so everyone was spooked 100%. Like every one of the guys that saw the bear, it was a natural reaction of like, holy shit. And I need to put into action what the park ranger was telling us to do, because we saw a lot of funny reactions. And that is the beauty of a show like this and a scene like this, is you are testing human beings to see how they react in completely crazy situations. And I guarantee you that no one, as a viewer, it's funny, like they're giving the precursor with the park ranger, if a bear does this, but we knew the bear thing was going to be happening. So, but for the guys out there, it had to have been kind of scary, even for a brief moment.
No, I think so. I mean, when I watched it just last week, and I saw the shot of the bear like charging towards Alan, I thought it looked pretty legit. When we did a couple rehearsals and I saw a video of me doing that, like I would have ran, or I would have been going get, like it looks like a real bear. And like, keep in mind, when we shot this months before that, there was a guy in Colorado that I think wrestled a mountain lion to save his own life. Mm-hmm. So every time that I had to march out of the woods for this, I was hoping that none of these guys think it's their time to wrestle a bear.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you, dude. It would not surprise me for a guy like Matt, who's like a professional wrestler, or even to like wrestle you, or to be like, when they finally realize this is just a dude in a bear suit, but I'm going to go wrestle him to the ground anyway.
He's pissed off, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're making me act a fool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that, I don't know. We love the bear scene. Zach,
thank you.
I have to know, how did you get in the bear suit? Was that arranged all along? Did you draw a short stick? What happened?
Man. So the way how it sort of went down, there's a long story. We were trying to think about if we were going to actually get a real bear for a while.
Oh my God.
And one of the producers I'm working with, Jimmy Terry, great guy, him and Tia Mosley, they were working like, do we get a bear and a bear trainer or something? But the legal drama around that, I think, is why we avoided that thing. But our supervising producer, Chris, sort of, I know I'm giving a bunch of plugs here, but he found a suit that fits somebody that's 6'5", and I am actually 6'8". And so we thought, well, let's get a bear out there. So with the head on top of my head, because I had to look out of the neck of the bear. So you don't see the eye holes. I could barely see anything. But in the end, when I would stand up, that bear is like 7'5", and it looked pretty good. But, that was basically like, I don't think it was a short straw thing. And if anything, I really wanted to be the bear, and I had a lot of fun with it. Pulled some pranks on other producers, hiding in the closet or in the office, just wearing the head.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
That's right. That's what I love about the show, is that the show has a lot of fun. Like I can't believe I'm looking forward every week to watching a dating show. But yeah, it's segments like that where people are just enjoying the medium of the reality TV show, and it's a blast to watch. So.
Well, and it's something right now that I think is different than the typical dating show, in the fact that Christy is very serious. Her biological clock is ticking, and she wants to become a mom, with or without any of these guys. That's her end game. And some of these guys, I mean, tonight's episode is episode 3, Booge and Mario. We call him Booge Budge. I love it. He's gone.
You're still on it. You're still giving him shit.
Dude, I know. But the guys have these tablets, and I like how these, in Survivor, it's challenges. So I kind of almost like, today's challenge is, taking this test.
Right.
They had to go take a test, and it's funny because one thing about reality TV that I have sometimes trouble with is learning about the personalities and the innuendos of characters. It takes me a few episodes, even watching Survivor. Like, getting to know what they do and what kind of personality they have. And I think a lot of what you guys do on your show is the character development that has happened already. I feel like I know the kind of vibe of a lot of these guys. So I think you guys have done a good job for a viewer like myself, just a casual viewer, to know about these dudes. Would you say that's accurate, Zach?
Yeah, definitely. I might not know all their names, but I have a feel for like either what their job is, or I have something I can pin to each one of these guys, even when it's still a pretty large field at the start of this episode.
And one thing I want to say, we have talked about this on previous podcasts. The family interaction when they do the cut scenes to these little confessional, that's what we call them on Survivor, but these little interview segments with their family, friends. How hard was it to pull that off? And I've kind of gone back and forth whether I think that adds something positive to the show, or if I'm like, why is that on there? So, like, how was it hard to, or how did you guys kind of pull that one off, getting all the families involved?
Really, that was just a bunch of logistics. I didn't have my hand in that either, actually. That was mainly the story department and a lot of the producers that are doing the interviews. But I think I agree that it is an important thing. Going back to the guys for a second with that they're all professionals. They're in their 40s. This isn't the dating show where it's a bunch of 20s or 30s that are just out to sort of find somebody to be with. Really, these guys have, they're kind of done playing the field. They're ready to have a kid. And so the parents are sort of showing that relationship of like when they had the guys as kids at first. So what were they like as babies, or what they're going to be like as fathers. So potentially all of these are grandparents that we're interviewing.
Yeah, and I think that with you saying that and explaining that makes it, because Zach and I were kind of at first episode, we're like, this is interesting. Like, why are they? I don't get it. But as going into episode 3, especially with like Marcus's mom and seeing what's his name, Angelo, the dude's dad.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's got the wacky ass suit on, and you're getting a vibe. I mean, some of these I forget who it was. So it's a mom, dad, and 2 younger kids, and they all are prim and proper.
Walker's family.
Oh yeah, Walker's family, and they got this crazy like wallpaper background, and it's like, wow, because I was thinking that same thing, like. These potentially could be who Christy is having Thanksgiving with. And I try to see like, I don't see that happening. So with certain people, right? Like I'm like, no. So that is the beauty of it, because I think Christy, although Christy has not really seen those family interviews, us as the viewer are kind of getting a vibe, because she has no idea who their families, et cetera, are. Correct?
No, I don't think so.
So she hasn't seen this, but us as the viewer, we get to see. So we kind of, hearing the family members talk about their child can kind of reiterate some of our preconceived notions about these dudes. Like Marcus, who's a friend of mine, lives in Cincinnati. Zach and I talked last week. His mom is awesome. She's hilarious. She loves her boy. And tonight she talks about college and how, with Marcus is so smart. As we saw, he got a 91, I believe it was, on his he was the highest scoring on his test. And then Keith was in second with like an 82 or something. And Marcus's mom made a statement like, it wasn't like a matter if Marcus was going to go to college. It was like where he's going to go. And we see Marcus is a Harvard grad. He's an anesthesiologist. He went back and got his MBA. In this episode, he was kind of bummed because he's like, man, like I may not be as successful financially as a guy like Stewart. So he's feeling a little bit insecure. So I think these guys who are so successful might be sizing one another up of like, wow, is Christy looking for someone who's going to be the most, wealthiest, most financially secure guy? Is she looking for a guy that, is just a fun-loving dad with a big heart that's going to be great with their kids? There's a lot of factors, and that's what I think the beauty. I'm a dad myself, right? And it's hard to, when you're in this situation of wanting to find your husband, find a good dad. Before I had kids, I didn't know what I was getting into when I was going to become a dad. And you're just thrown into this gnarly situation. So tonight we see like Walker, who goes on a date with Christy, and this guy loves to travel. Even his family says, look, if you date my son, you're going to have a blast because he's fun. He's adventurous. He loves to travel. He's his funeral director. He's like talking about how he's dabbling in like technology and this gold credit card of sorts. I don't even know what that was.
Well, yeah, I got to reflect on that. That's got to be the worst idea ever. Like, credit cards already, how many times does your magnetic strip go bad? And then you're going to replace it with like malleable gold?
Yeah.
And that's even more incentive to steal your wallet if you have a gold credit card. This is terrible.
Yeah. Well, Walker, there's something about Walker tonight that she even made a comment like, Walker looks amazing on paper, but there's just something that I don't know if is dad material. And I love to travel too, but I can see right through it tonight, Zach. I don't know if you saw this, just like, you're not going to be able to just get up and travel. Like, if you have a crying, screaming child that you have to like sacrifice everything for, as a mother and a father, man, things kind of slow down and change for a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I travel and do a lot of cool shit. But when my kids were younger, it was hard because I did travel a lot. Obviously, I played Survivor. I was gone. And I was in the BMX bike industry. So I traveled all over the world going to events and trade shows and stuff. And I had to leave my wife's at home, kids sucking on her tit, breastfeeding. And she's like sleep deprived as shit while Matt's out gallivanting around in Las Vegas, partying with my BMX buddies. It was hard. So you have to have a solid foundation between, husband and wife, especially when you're bringing a baby into the mix. And Zach, I mean, you're choosing pretty much not to have kids because it has a whole element.
Yeah, I'm choosing traveling over children at this point in my life, which is these two things don't seem to go hand in hand, especially the way he's talking about traveling. He said, I'm gone for 6 days, I'm home for 4, then I'm gone again to the Middle East. It's like, that doesn't work very well with a newborn or with a young child.
No, and I don't think a guy like Walker could necessarily change his behavior for kids. Like if you're big time into traveling, I don't think that someone's going to take that out of your blood. So she saw that right away. And at the end of the episode, Walker goes home and he was kind of crushed about it because I think Walker felt like, man, I had a nice date. And that's what what you said before, man, is like, this is although it's fun, it's very serious. And she got emotional and cried because she's like, I feel like I'm breaking up with this dude because like, I really like you, but the funeral director stuff and you traveling all the time, hey, that's a red flag. I don't know if I want to 100% bring a child into this scenario. So Walker goes home, and I think Walker was cool about it. Out of the other guys that she sent packing tonight, and we're skipping around, but we had a lot of douchebaggery.
You didn't like pissing on her house as Jason was leaving? You weren't a fan of that?
So let's talk about Jason. For one, a couple episodes ago.
I forgot about that.
So Jason said on episode 1 when he got wasted at the very first deal, I'm not going to drink the rest of the show. But then the whole show he's been fucking drinking, and he plays a drinking game when he's hanging out with her tonight. He's playing quarters, and then he makes this comment, Zach, about I wanted her to kiss my lips, and she wanted to kiss my cheek. And he's like, then, once you start kissing there, I want her to kiss down here or something. What was he insinuating? Like you blow me or something? I don't understand.
Yeah, the insinuation was if she really loves me, she'll go down on me.
I was shocked at that, dude.
It was a classless confessional. I did not like it at all.
I didn't like a lot of Jason's confessionals and stuff tonight, dude.
No, and they're playing quarters, and he says, if I make this, you're going to kiss me. He's pulling out that noose to hang himself. She tried to hand it back to him. She was like, no, like let's keep it classy here. And he doubles down again. No, we're definitely doing it this way. That's how I roll. And then he stakes the quarter and goes, winner. Like, that's not, this isn't a frat party, dude. What are you doing?
No, and I think that he is a Southern guy, but as we saw in his, when he's got the iPad earlier in the show, the dude is not very smart. Now, I don't think Christy necessarily cares how smart you are to a degree, but I also don't think she wants to date a dumbass. And Jason proved at the end of the episode when he's pissing on the side of the house, which I piss at the side of my hell. I pissed 3 times at the side of my house just today.
Yeah, I did it too. Yeah.
I'm in my swimming pool drinking beers. I'm like, I got to piss. I jump out. I piss in the freaking rocks. Then I splash a little chlorinated water to make this. I don't want my pool area to smell like piss. But I wouldn't do that on a fucking dating show out of respect. Like, even if I was leaving, out of respect for the dating show. I thought that was very disrespectful from my standpoint. And the fact that he's like, just all about just partying, and she saw right through it. And I'm glad that at the end of the day, Jason goes home. Now, I think that he was a polarizing character. And as a viewer, he's one of those guys that you like, wow, like this is one of those Southern country boys like to, have a bonfire and kick back a few freaking Pabst Blue Ribbons with the boys and drive around in my pickup truck. But at the end of the day, I just don't think he's dad material. And I think that's why he's still single at the moment.
Yeah, certainly not with Christy. I thought he was great television, but you could see his boot coming from episode 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, totally. So I have a note here. Alan, when he was going to do the test, he said, I would rather masturbate daily into cups than to take a test once a week. That was what he said, right?
That is what he said.
So I want to ask you, episode 1, when they had to jerk off into the cup to give their sperm sample.
Yeah.
That was one of the most shocking, gnarliest reality TV moments. Like, I totally get that you guys did that, because this is like, hey, we got to test your sperm. And I don't, if you can't answer this question, I get it. But was there any warning, like, to these guys ahead of time that was going to happen? Like, was this a total surprise that these guys were going to have to, like, do? That's a pretty shocking thing to have to do. Like, if I'm on a show and someone's like, Matt, the first thing you got to do is go jerk off in this cup while these dudes are, like, standing outside the trailer, I'd be like saying, can you at least give me my phone so I can look at Pornhub or something?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, in short, no, they didn't know anything was going to happen. They didn't know what was going to go down. But, like, watching it cut together was great, because they allude to it as it's, showing up. Like, Christy had her eggs frozen or something, and it's only fair that if she went through the process, you have to also. Mm-hmm. And there's a great shot of Matt sort of figuring out, like, wait, really? And then the cups come out. It was a great reveal. I think they did a great job with that.
Oh, it was. What was the reaction? Was there, if you're there as a producer guy, was there this sense of, like, jaws hitting the floor at that moment when they're having to do it? Or was it not that really big of a deal?
Well, I think, at first when we're coming up with everything, we're trying to plan it out, get all the necessary, like, get the vehicle there for one, because it was a professional company that was doing it.
Yeah, right.
He took it very seriously. We had a meeting about it. This is all a serious thing. Like, a lot of men, as they get older, they don't have as many swimmers as they did when they were 25.
That's right.
It's a real thing. So we wanted to take this as seriously as possible. And so it was that, we would watch the guys go in. The guys were having fun with it, thankfully, because, like, one by one, they're coming out and they're, like, fist bumping or, like, high fiving or something.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, dude.
Well, at least they're having a good time with it, but it is a serious thing.
Yeah. Was there any backlash? I would imagine, like, some people would have, I don't care, because it's like, anything goes with me. Nothing offends me.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm wondering, I didn't see, like, the Twitter feeds. Was there a lot of, like, holy shit, like, I can't believe they did this on a reality show type thing? Did you see any, like, backlash or anything on that?
Me personally, no. I don't think I saw any backlash.
I didn't see any backlash on Twitter, but it was definitely trending for that reason. It was a shocking moment, but I think both the moment that was handled with some levity and also made sense in the show. It wasn't like
it
we're
made
just throwing
perfect
something
sense.
for shock value.
Yeah, it made perfect sense, and I think that's what has separated this show from all the other dating shows, because yes, we have all these different guys with different careers, but a lot of reality shows, we see a lot of young people that are trying to be reality stars. They want their 15 minutes of fame. They're going on shows like Survivor and Big Brother to try to jumpstart their career in being a fucking social media influencer. Well, all these guys have badass careers going. They just don't have the wife and the kids. So you're weeding out those people that are trying to just get on a TV show. Like, these dudes don't need to get on a TV show.
Well, there's one. Can we talk about Trent? I love Trent.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What is up with Trent's little? He gets his stuffed kitty stolen with it. What's his name?
Yeah. So just to set the scene here, Stuart is on the first date. They're doing a stay-in date, and he's having this romantic cooking date with Christy inside Christy's house.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. I'm thinking, from my familiarity with other reality shows, something bad just happened. There's like a producer at the door about to tell them something, or there's some sort of twist coming. No, instead it's Trent and Jason. Jason's drunk again, and Trent is dressed up wearing, he's got like a fuzzy hat that has like mittens on the side, no shirt, apparently like a bathing suit and red cowboy boots, and he's looking for his stuffed cat named Snoots that he's been tearing the house apart. He was flipping beds over looking for Snoots.
Yeah. A grown man doing this.
Yeah, he's 36 years old. I looked it up. This is absurd.
It is absurd. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it totally derailed the date for a minute. I think it was such a bad look for Jason and Trent to Christy. It was pretty bad for that reason, but I was so impressed with Stuart. Stuart, you could tell he's not pleased with this, but he just rolled. He was smooth on that date. I thought this was Stuart's episode.
Oh, it was. I think when you hear the music playing outside and there's like classical music playing, and you see this date they had where they're cooking and drinking wine and really trying to get to know one another, I think definitely it was a great date for Stuart. And I think it made Trent look super douchey. And when they actually heard the music, they went outside in the courtyard. They had a badass. I mean, those houses that you got, the setting of the two houses next to each other, I think that was really cool because you can see reactions between the guys and Christy's house, even when they're doing the, dating app elimination time. It adds a lot of drama to that. That's kind of different, I think, than other reality dating shows. I think Zach, have you watched any other dating show that you've seen kind of eliminations like via
I've seen clips of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I've never seen it done like this. I really like having the moment. It breathes a little bit while the elimination's building up. It breathes, and you get to see the guys kind of talking through or getting nervous, like as they're watching how long she stays on the profile, who gets moved where. I enjoy it a lot. Yeah, it gets a little bit of insight into how they view each other, how they feel that she views them. It's good insight.
It is.
That app. Oh, sorry, Matt. I just want to talk about that app a little bit because it was pretty new. Like there's a company that created it, and like the higher ups above me were the ones who sort of orchestrated that. But my job when it came to the elimination was to make sure that it was happening live and in sync. Mm-hmm. So when Christy was using the tablet and it was going to her monitor so her and Kristen can talk about it, the guys were getting the same exact feed. Mm-hmm. So every time when she was like being indecisive with some things, we would watch the guys sort of lose it a little bit and go to the window and like, what is she doing? Because they can't hear her.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to watch it happen live in real time.
Yeah. And it's cool because you guys edit it where you like see Christy dragging guys over, and then you clip to the guys. So it just makes it a lot more dramatic. Like on Survivor, it's like you have tribal council, and as a viewer, you're like, who's getting voted out tonight?
Right.
This just adds more like a cliffhanger to every episode, because tonight there was 3 guys going to the We Need to Talk. So as a viewer, you're like, man, who's going home tonight? Is there going to be 1 guy, 2 guys? And tonight, all 3 went home, proving again what you said earlier, that this is freaking serious. I want to go back to when the guys got on a school bus and went to the school. It was geniuses versus gents. You have these super intelligent kids versus, it's like trivia, questions, kind of not trivia, but questions that I couldn't answer. So yeah, it's kind of a fun scene. And Marcus ended up obviously having the highest score, and he knows like, hey, I'm this smart guy. But Christy is not really caring necessarily about how smart they are in this scenario. What she is looking at is the dynamics and the fun that the guys are having during this little trivia challenge against these kids, and how they're interacting with the kids. Are they having fun? Are they smiling and high-fiving? And I think that's really cool, because I don't think the guys are even realizing that they're being tested on that level in this scenario. But the guys that are just naturally being themselves, Christy's noticing that. And I think that was really cool.
Yeah, and who was it that we got to see having the most positive interactions with the kids? Our boy Marcus. So I was very stoked. We get to see him going over high-fiving. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Marcus, I mean, that guy, I mean, anesthesiologist, Harvard. I know he lives in Cincinnati, but was getting his MBA in addition to all the other stuff. The guy is a freaking genius. I mean, my wife is like, Matt, how in the hell does Marcus not have a girl in his life yet? Because I've seen Marcus with plenty of girls over the years, just like coming over to my house for we'd have a Survivor viewing party. Marcus would come over with a date. Like, oh, how's it going? And then the next time I'd see Marcus, he'd be with another girl. And I was always like, man, Marcus is freaking good looking. He's smart. He's successful. And I'm hoping, Zach, that when the finale of this show happens, Marcus gives me a phone call and says, hey, dude, Christy and I are coming over to your house tomorrow night because we got some news. We got a fucking bun in the oven, bro. So
I hope so.
I do too. I mean, Marcus tonight was a little bit, he didn't get to go on any dates, so he was a little bit bummed. I think Marcus actually has feelings, like real true feelings for Christy.
Yeah.
So
another time we get to see some real feelings coming out. I think Matt also, so the guy who had a good date last time, Matt, Johnny Fairplay's friend, the wrestler.
Yeah.
He's hearing Jason's stories about playing quarters, which he somehow was jealous of. I think everyone else was sort of appalled by, as Jason was saying, oh, I was trying to get her drunk, trying to get her to kiss me, and everyone else is sort of looking at him sideways. Matt's starting to dominate the conversation, is yelling at Jason, is carrying on. And then all of a sudden, Matt and Keith get into it, and they're shouting at each other. I like that we're starting to see the house get a little tense, as we've had multiple guys go on dates with her, and they're starting to develop real feelings. So it's Marcus, it's Matt, it's these others who've had some prolonged time. I like that a lot, that we're getting to see those dynamics.
Well, one thing about Keith, I think Keith, at least from me watching, even my wife said, man, this guy has some anger issues. He's getting pissed at Matt, and then we see a scene from next episode where he gets real pissed off. So I don't see Keith having necessarily a long-term relationship with Christy. I think that his temper is going to come out to her, and she's going to be like, look, if we have a baby, because I know what it's like having a wife who nurses a child that's crying because they have colic and they're fucking crying all the time and you're sleep deprived. And I'm not the most patient person. So your fuse can be real short when you don't have any sleep and you have a newborn. So a lot of these guys I try to picture as a dad, wow, could Matt, for example, in the situation of having a kid, be able to deal with it? Like, could Marcus and Keith is one of those guys that, man, having a kid's pretty gnarly. I don't know if Keith is going to be able to handle it. But I want to ask you, man, like as a producer. So Survivor, every episode is like a 3-day period. So like this is I believe it's an 8-episode series. Is that right, Zach? Do you know? I think Johnny said there's like 8 maybe episodes.
I was trying to look it up. I don't know where Johnny got that number from. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either. What was the like a typical episode that we saw each and every week? What period of time kind of is that taking place? Is this filmed over many months?
We did it probably in about 4 or 5 weeks, I want to say. I think we had a push maybe into like 6 weeks possibly. It happened a long time ago, so I think I've done like maybe 3 or 4 shows since. But you're right, it does take a long time. Like we'll have a couple days where we'll do like, I think they're calling them like drills or challenges or something like that. I like the challenge vernacular, but
right.
Then there would be like a date day, then there'd be like a house day, then like an interview day. So we would have to rinse and repeat that. So each week we would sort of progress through one episode, so to speak.
Right.
I have to look back, but yeah. A lot of time and effort goes into this. Locations goes into it. Like we had a humongous team of producers. Trying to think back I was at the school when we shot that, when we did the trivia challenge thing. I remember talking with a kid, me and my friend Jimmy were talking with a kid, and he was testing another kid on like some sort of, vocabulary trivia. And he was like, do you know what CIA stands for? And we were like, Central Intelligence Agency. He goes, no, that's Crime in America. And I was like, you're 7. How did you, what is going on? This kid. But, then there's kids that can say all the table of elements in under a minute. Blew me away.
Yeah, I teach high school, and I show up to the academic challenge every now and again just to have fun with the kids, and I look like a freaking idiot. And I'm like, this is embarrassing, man. I have 2 master's degrees. I teach you. You're schooling me here. So I get it.
You have 2. Why don't you get on Labor of Love too? Well, you're already with a chick.
I'm already married, yeah.
But dude, like, you have 2 master's degrees?
I do, yeah. In English literature and education.
That's awesome. But yeah, these kids on the show tonight were so smart and spoke so well. I thought it was cool adding these kids into it because I think we're going to see moving forward more and more things that involve kids, and we see, changing diapers and this and that. But do you feel that maybe there's like a long-term, I mean, we're only 3 episodes in, but could there be more shows like this in the future, like dealing with people that, like, is there going to be a Labor of Love 2 or a Labor of Love 3? Like, so far, like, what's the vibe been from the fans?
I personally haven't heard too much about it. I mean, I totally have some dreams about like it coming back. I'd love to do this again. I think we could possibly make more advancements. Maybe we're like, the app that she's using is sort of like, oh, what do the fans think about it?
Wow.
But no, I think it was so good that like we could follow it again as sort of like a matchmaking experiment. I thought it was adult. It wasn't like other shows that are sort of about we're gonna fight the entire time, or we're gonna talk about immature things. These people want to have a family. They want to have a kid, and it's up to Christy really, and she can marry that person, or they can just have the baby out of genes and co-parent, or have it by herself.
Right.
And I think it's great that she is empowered in that way.
Oh, I do too. So we didn't really get to see a lot of my friend Marcus tonight, but I know he had a lot of actually confessionals, Zach, where he has feelings for Christy.
Oh yeah.
And he is pretty bummed, like, man, like when they were asking her questions and she was like giving answers like, who would you like to have a road trip with? Who would you like to do this? Marcus really wasn't in the mix in those questions.
Well, Matt, I want to ask you, if you're going to pick someone that you want to go on a road trip with, is that a friend thing or is that a romantic thing? My wife and I were split. We couldn't decide.
Like the question of who would I want to go to? I mean, I've been on many road trips with my wife before we were married. We were just dating. And I think you can really tell a lot from somebody when you go on a road trip with them.
Oh, yeah.
Like we drove to California and back a couple different times before we had kids. And we had a blast. And that's why Budge guy to me seemed so lame before, because he just didn't seem like he was down for whatever. Because I am down for whatever. Like, hey, let's go have some fun. I think going on a road trip, it's a friend thing, but it could also be a romantic thing, you know? What do you think, Zach? I mean...
Yeah, I would rather go on a road trip with my wife than with one of my good friends, I think. I think,
yeah.
Yeah, so I saw it not as like... I think they saw it as a negative. I can't remember who it was that got the road trip, whether it was Kyle. Kyle got a couple answers, and he was thinking, I got friend zoned. I didn't take it that way personally.
No. So at the end of the day, at the end of this episode, in the We Need to Talk column, we have Walker, Jason, and Angelo. All three went packing. Walker, I didn't see the funeral director guy having too much in common with her, even though they had a nice date. Jason, we learned that he's just an alcoholic, douchebaggy guy. I kind of liked him at the beginning. Like, he was great TV, but a little bit disrespectful in my opinion. But I'm not a Jason hater. I think he was pretty funny.
I liked him.
The one guy that I did not like on his exit interview was Angelo, when he's like, Christy is a 4. I hang out in my real life with 10s and 12s. If you fucking say that shit, dude, I'm glad she saw right through his shit, because you are a fucking douchebag, my friend. And I don't know you, Angelo. If you're listening to this podcast, I'd love to talk to you about it. But I just think, like, dude, who are you? Because, I'm a straight guy, but looking at Angelo, you're a fucking 3, dude. How do you say that to someone? I think Christy's beautiful, and I think she's keeping it real. And again, Jason pissing on the wall, and North Carolina, here I come back home, and Angelo saying I hang out with hotter chicks. I'm glad she saw right through it, because these guys obviously aren't. They don't deserve a woman like Christy, and they're definitely not ready for kids. And I think that's why these guys are still single.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Angelo, that was pure defense mechanism, right? This is like, as soon as he started saying he's not going to win, he goes, oh, I don't even care. Like, I'll just send myself home. What do I care if she doesn't want me here? Like, whatever. And then he starts slamming her on her own show. Like, what a fucking asshole. I don't understand why that was necessary. He might be an all right guy in the real world, but that was a really low moment. Like, fuck
it was low, and it would be interesting to see if he feels bad about that now. As far as the cast goes, since you're involved in the show, was it fun working with this group of guys? Like, was it hard to find all these dudes? And you may not know the answer to this, but casting a show like this has to be kind of like a long process to find guys that we got to bring in, guys that will make good TV, that we know, okay, like, he's probably not going to be the one that she's going to be with, but it's going to add great to our storyline. Was it difficult to find was it 15 guys originally? Yeah. Okay. How hard was 15, that?
So I wasn't involved in the selecting process by any means, but I did monitor how many we were getting and where they were, like, once we started locking some. So at one point, like, we had 20 or 30 that were kind of finalists, if you want to say, but then dwindled down to like the final 15. And some would change every now and then, but we always had some that sort of just like stuck in there. So we knew their names quickly. Honestly, I thought they were all really good guys. I think they all wanted to be there. They were polite, to me at least. After the bear thing, They all called me Parker Bear. Every time I saw them on set, they'd be like, "Oh, Parker Bear," and get. They would do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And like every now and then, like since it's aired, they've reached out to me like on Twitter or Facebook or something like that, just like saying what's up. And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. We're all still around."
That's awesome.
The whole COVID thing, I was like, "Oh, I wonder how everybody's doing now." Marcus is on the front lines, so I mean,
he is
probably knows a whole lot more.
How has COVID affected you? Just you work on lots of TV shows. A good friend of mine, Dave Thies, who was one of the people involved in this movie called The Peanut Butter Falcon. He also produced one of my band's videos, and he's done, like you, he's been on the production crew of tons of reality TV shows like Fantasy Factory and the Osbournes, all kinds of stuff. He's been out of work for a while because of this pandemic. How has this affected like your career as a television guy?
It's weird. I mean, my last show I was doing was for USA. I can't say the title of it, but it was a family show. It was a family docuseries show, and it went on hiatus around March 13th or March 19th or something like that. And it was like, maybe we'll come back in a couple weeks. We'll see how this coronavirus scare is going. And then I got sick right around that time, and I was like, "Oh my God, do I have it? Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And 2 weeks goes by, the show's not back, nothing like that. The state goes on lockdown. The whole country's in a pandemic.
Did you have coronavirus?
No, I didn't have it. Well, I mean, I got tested for the flu, and it was types A and B, and it said negative, but I was clearly sick at the time. I couldn't be tested for the coronavirus.
So quite frankly, you could have had. I know a lot of people. Yeah. That's crazy because earlier, before we all knew about COVID-19, I knew a lot of people, even my kids, like they got a fever, they felt shitty, got the flu test. Oh, you probably have some just gnarly virus. I bet you so many fucking people had the stuff, dude, without knowing that they had it.
Yeah. I mean, like I had a fever of like 101 for one day. But it was a lot of, just sneezing and coughing. I did lose my hearing for about 48 hours, and I was like, "This is new. Is this part of it?"
Yeah.
But in a week and a half, I was back to normal, but the jobs were not. So that's still, it's still sort of slowing right now. Being in Georgia though, and it's sort of semi reopened. There's talk of work coming back. Yeah. But we'll just see, because that's a lot of fish in one pond trying to eat at the same time.
Right. But you're optimistic and hoping that production of shows is going to happen. So that's your goal in the rest of this year and beyond, is to continue on with other shows. And you're saying that your wife maybe was going to originally, she worked in the television industry as well?
Correct. Yeah. She was going to do Labor of Love. She originally got the call, but she wasn't available at the time. Yeah. So she looked at me and she was like, "I'm going to send your resume to them, and then maybe they'll give you a call." And then a couple days later, I got the call. So I don't think she was going to be as good of bear as I was.
No.
I don't know. I mean, we might have a fight about that later, but
I mean, the bear stuff, that's going to be something I will remember for a long time. And the fact that we got you on the podcast and you're the actual, because you're like, me and you were joking. You're like, "Dude, I got the guy from the bear." I'm like, "You fucking shit me, man."
Yeah, big shout out to Kyle from Labor of Love. I took to social media like crazy. I was like, I got to find out who was in that bear suit. He was hilarious.
Dude, you were hilarious.
Oh man, I feel really good. Yeah, no, when Kyle hit me up, he's like, "People are demanding to know who's behind the bear." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's so cool." Like, when Zach hit me up on Instagram, I was like, "Oh, heck yeah." So I start hitting up the executive producer, and he goes to the network, and I was like, "Am I going to be on television? What is this?" What's going on?
Dude, I love it. This is classic. I mean, doing these podcasts are so fun. We usually talk Survivor, but doing Labor of Love has been awesome. Obviously it sucked me in originally because Marcus was on the show, but Zach and I are having a great time. Johnny Fairplay's on vacation right now. He usually joins us, but he's unable to tonight. But it's been really fun, and I really hope that there's a happy ending at the end of this show, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna stick around for the ride. It's gonna get good. It's gonna be like, more emotions and more reality as it comes.
Yeah, I think it's going to get really good. I think there's going to be more jealousy. I think other guys are going to really start falling for Christy, and I don't know, who do you get your money on, Zach?
I really like Stewart. I still, I can't not pull for Marcus, knowing Marcus. But yeah, I mean, those two are the two I'm eyeing right now. I think Matt did stand out originally, but he seems a little wild. And I know he's a WWE guy. That doesn't quite jive with the Christie that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I don't think it jives with the Christie whatsoever.
If he's friends with Johnny Fairplay, there's no way Christie's going to have a kid with him. So,
It's not happening. It's not happening. But I agree with you. I think Marcus has a great shot. Alan from South Africa, although he's a good-looking dude. Man, I don't know if Christie's going to go for him. Trent, little immature with his little pet kitty. Keith, anger management problems. So Kyle, we're going to see. I think next week. We haven't, and he was on her radar. So I think Kyle could maybe surprise us. He's a sleeper. Maybe toward the end of the episode, I'm kind of looking at these guys. I'm seeing Stewart, Marcus, Matt, and Kyle really kind of going at it, and then I see kind of Matt knocking off, and we'll see how it ends. But I'm excited, and I'm having fun, and it's something I can watch with my wife. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, Parker, this was a blast. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me. I hope this worked out. I'm looking at you guys, like, lighting looks way better than mine, so I don't know.
No worries.
Oh, no. Oh, trust me. I have a little freaking I'm in a spare bedroom right now because it's summertime. Usually where I do my podcast is downstairs, but my kids are playing Fortnite right now, so I had to make a makeshift studio up here. So thank you very much for coming on, and we're really enjoying the show. So good luck. And where can people find you on Instagram? If you guys are watching Labor of Love and you want to follow the dude in the bear suit, where can people follow you?
And here, I'll share the bear picture as well.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
That's nice. Yeah, it looks like I'm a watcher on the wall from Game of Thrones.
It does.
Look at that long hair, beard. Ah, man.
I need to get a beard lock going. I need to get one of those.
I know.
I'm on Instagram at Parker Aylesworth. I just use my name on everything, so Twitter's the same, all that kind of stuff.
Right on.
But no, thanks so much for reaching out to me, Zach and Matt. It was great meeting both you guys. And
oh yeah, and you never know down the road in the future if you're working on other shows. I mean, we do a lot of Survivor content, but as we do Labor of Love, I'm enjoying doing different concepts. So keep Zach and us in the loop if you got a show coming out in the future.
That'd be great.
We're all about podcasting about reality shows. So definitely keep in touch. And thank you very much, Zach. It's been real. I can't wait to see what happens next week. Yeah. It's going to be good. So we'll see you guys next week on another episode, Survivor NSFW, covering Labor of Love on Fox. Cheers.
Good night.